Every Sunday, millions of Christians worship in buildings that carry more pagan fingerprints than they realize. Let us take a slow walk through a typical church and see what is already there. Picture the outside first. You see a tall steeple reaching into the sky. That shape did not fall from heaven. It grows out of ancient towers and obelisks that pointed toward the gods, high places that said, "The divine is up there." Later, Christians wrapped bells around that idea so whole towns could hear the call to worship. Now step inside. At the front sits a raised pulpit and often a square communion or offering table. In the ancient world, public speakers stood on a bema, a raised platform in Greek cities and Roman courts. Tables and altars were built with sacred geometry, squares and rectangles that pointed to the four directions of the earth. Today, that same layout shows up as a preacher's pulpit and a neat square table labeled, "This do in remembrance of me." The form still looks like an altar and a court platform. The real question is, who is being honored here and what is being preached? Now look up. Many church ceilings curve into a dome. That dome has a long history in Roman and Greek buildings. Think of the Pantheon in Rome, a great round dome with an opening at the top called an oculus. That opening symbolized the eye of heaven, the gaze of the gods. For some, the eye of Zeus or Jupiter watching from above. So when you sit under a dome, you are under a shape that once said, "The gods are looking down." Today you sit there and sing, "Our God reigns," and listen to the gospel. Look at the pillars and the layout. Columns around the altar area and along the aisles come straight out of temple halls and Roman basilicas. The word basilica itself was used for royal halls and law courts before churches ever used it. Long central aisle, side aisles, raised apse. Later, many cathedrals were laid out in a cruciform design, the whole floor plan shaped like a cross, and some were aligned with sunrise, sunset, or certain stars. That is sacred geometry, and sometimes astrological thinking, not just a pretty floor plan. Doors and windows in older churches often face east, not always because of Jerusalem, but because of the rising sun. Long before Christianity, people turned east to greet the sun god. Some church builders kept the habit and tried to redirect the symbol toward Christ the true light. Now layer in Islamic influence. If you look closely at some European churches and chapels, you will see horseshoe arches, inner courtyards, and dome styles that came through contact with Islamic architecture. Mosques use domes, courtyards, and arches to frame prayer toward Mecca. Those design ideas traveled, mixed, and ended up in Christian buildings all over the Mediterranean world. Now pause and notice the smaller details around the front. Floral arrangements often ring the pulpit or altar. That is not a command from the New Testament. It fits a much older pattern. In Greek and Roman customs like the Rosalia, people decorated graves and sacred spaces with flowers as offerings for the dead and as signs of honor. Today, we surround our altars with flowers at Easter, funerals, and anniversaries. Most people are not thinking of Rosalia, but the habit of dressing holy space with flowers is very old and often pagan, not biblical. Then there is who is allowed in certain spaces. In many churches, the physical pulpit or podium is reserved for the pastor or clergy only. Big throne-like chairs on the platform, roped-off areas behind the rail. A clear visual hierarchy that says, these people are closer to the holy space than the rest. But in the book of Acts, the early believers had all things common. In James 2, God rebukes giving the rich man the good seat and pushing the poor man aside. Preferred seating and strict platform hierarchy look more like empire and temple courts than a humble family gathered around Jesus. Add candles to the list. Candles once burned for pagan gods and household spirits. Lamps burned in the Jewish tabernacle and temple. Today we light candles for Advent, communion, and prayer services. The same small flame has moved through pagan temples, Jewish worship, and Christian sanctuaries. So inside one church building you may have a steeple with roots in pagan high places, a dome that echoes the eye of heaven or Zeus, pillars and basilica plans shaped by Roman halls, cruciform and east-facing geometry tied to sun and stars, arches and domes influenced by Islamic design, floral arrangements that match Greek and Roman customs like Rosalia, a pulpit and seating chart that create hierarchy, even though Acts spoke of having all things common. candles that once lived on other altars. Yet most of us walk into these spaces, worship with full hearts, and never say, "This building makes my worship invalid." Why? Because deep down we know God is not limited by architecture, geometry, flowers, or furniture. So here is the real tension. If someone says, BGLO symbols or Greek letters are pagan, so they are automatically evil, that same logic would also condemn steeples, domes, basilicas, flowered altars, sacred geometry, candles, and the way many of our pulpits and pews are arranged. That is the genetic fallacy. Judging something only by its origin, instead of by its present meaning, use, and fruit. The better questions sound like this. Who is Lord in this space? What are we actually teaching and practicing here? Does this setting produce love, justice, humility, and repentance, or pride and control? If this helped you see your church building with clearer eyes, share it with someone who is wrestling with symbols, and ask them, are we letting fear of architecture and decor run our theology? Or are we letting Jesus and real fruit tell the truth about what is holy and what is not? Use a male voice with a New Yorker accent for the narrator.